This is Natural Powerlifting Radio. Deadlifts, chicken nuggets, video games. This is Check My Total, a powerlifting podcast with Timothy Payne and Andrew Hinson.
Welcome everybody to another episode. It's just me and your boy Andrew.
That's right.
Today we're going to talk about breathing and bracing.
We're going to talk about how to breathe. We're going to talk about how to breathe so you don't pass out. Make sure that you can learn how to breathe. Make sure no one forgot. Got to take in that oxygen. We're going to teach you how to brace so you can prepare yourself for whatever lift you're doing, bench, squat, deadlift, or whatever other thing you got going on. But knowing how to breathe and how to brace for a lift is extremely important. And a lot of times if your breathing is off or you don't know how to get tight, then you're leaving pounds off the platform.
Yeah, I mean, just a simple illustration is, if you have a latex balloon or something, without any air in it, you can just flop it around, you can stretch it, you can do whatever you want to. And you don't want to be a floppy balloon when you got 500 pounds on your back. You need some air.
But this isn't your normal breathing and exhaling business we got going on here. It's a little different. When we're talking about breathing and bracing, we're talking about preparing for a lift. So this isn't your breaststroke when you're in the pool or anything. This isn't your huffing and puffing after you ran a mile. This is a little bit different. So basically, your goal, when you hear people say get tight, that can mean quite a few things, and it could mean pulling your shoulders back and all that good stuff. But when people say get tight, it also means make sure that your abdominal area and your core and your obliques, you have a nice deep breath and you're pushing out on your abdominal wall. And you're expanding your belly and flexing out your obliques. Yeah,
because when you get your air, you don't want your air to be in your lungs. You want it to be in your diaphragm.
Yeah, so it's how a baby breathes. So and it's also how a bunch of people that play instruments like the trumpet and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch how they breathe, you'll notice that their chest isn't rising. Their chest doesn't move when they breathe. I know a lot of times when you're breathing, it's kind of a bad habit everyone's gotten into, but you breathe in your mouth or nose and your chest rises. But this is a little bit different. You actually intake your air and you intake it into your belly and not into your lungs, but just really to your diaphragm and pushing it kind of like you breathing in and you're kind of pushing all your air down into your belly, and then you're expanding it outward by pushing out your abs and kind of using that breath to inflate your obliques.
Yeah.
So, and the point of this is when you do this, when you take in breath and your belly will kind of shoot out, so it'll kind of, you'll look a little fatter than you normally are. So your belly will pop out a little bit. And what this does is when you inflate your abdominal wall and your obliques, it actually kind of acts as a natural belt. So all your muscles tighten up, and if you're doing it right, you should even feel your back, your muscles around your back tighten up, and so your spine's nice and secure.
Yeah, sometimes when I take a breath, it'll actually pop my back, once you push out.
And as far as taking a breath, some people do it differently. There's kind of multiple ways to do it. Some people, just breathing through their mouth, and they'll take a deep breath, kind of just suck in, and then they'll push out of the belly and their abs and obliques through the mouth. But some people like to take a deep breath in from the nose and fill up their abdominal wall with air from their nose, and then some people like to do it both ways. Some people like to take a deep breath and grab as much air as they can with their nose, And then when they can't breathe in through their nose anymore, they take a big gulp of air through their mouth. And then they got like double the air intake.
That's what I do. I try to get as much as possible.
Yeah, so I try and do, I always forget how I do it because I just don't think about it. But I'm pretty sure I take a breath through I think I take it through my mouth first. And then once I take a huge breath in my mouth and push all that air and filling up my belly full of air, I then take a couple sniffles through the nose, see if I can get any more left. And
so when you get your air, are you doing the same technique for all 3 lifts?
Yeah, same technique. Nothing really changes as far as my breathing technique for the lifts go, because what I'm doing is, if it's at the squat, I'll stand up with the weight. I'll take a breath, unrack, get settled, take another deep breath, fill up my belly full of air, make sure everything's tight. I'll hold my breath throughout the whole lift, and if I'm doing reps, I'll try and hold it for as many reps as possible. And then if I ever need to retake a breath and fill my belly full of air again and push out, I'll do that at the top when I lock out, and I'll breathe out and breathe back in. But it's kind of the same with the deadlift. On the deadlift, I get my air at the top, and then I go down and pull, and then bench I get my air, just when I'm set up and I'm ready to unrack it from the bench, I'll breathe in a little bit. And then when I get ready to go down, I'll breathe in some.
And you kind of glanced over it, but I think it's really important, like you said, to get air before you unrack the weight. Because if you don't get your air while you're trying to unrack the weight, like I was talking about with the balloon, you'll kind of just crumble and it'll feel twice as heavy as soon as you unrack it, which is not the mindset you want to be in before you're about to squat something.
Yeah, and also when you're doing this to stay tight, what you see a lot of people doing is they might take a deep breath of air, but then they'll descend in their lift. So if you're on the bench press, you get a lot on the bench press, is people breathe out when they're shooting the weight back up. So they go down and they start pushing the weight back up off their chest, and they'll breathe out. That's a terrible idea. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
It comes from, an athletic background, people playing football and different sports, but when you're lifting heavy weight, you need to stay as solid as you can. Because I understand, breathing out if you're trying to be explosive and hit somebody, but when you're trying to move a static weight, I think you need to stay, like we said, as solid as possible. Especially if you're doing multiple reps.
Oh, yeah, because when you take a deep breath, everything's tight, your abs are tight, your back is tighter and in a safer position. And then when you exhale, you flatten out, you lose tightness, and generally, that's, especially if you're on the way up from a bench press, or if you're on, or like the way up from a squat, if you're breathing out, that just makes the lift so much harder, and could lead to you either failing the lift or getting injured.
Yep. Now, if it's like a meet and you're at a certain point in your squat, like where you're already out of the hole, I think it's okay to do that breath out and kind of pop your hips through. But you don't want to let everything go when you're, sitting down in a squat in the hole. That's the worst place to let your air out. But I think there is a certain point where you can let it out, but you just got to make sure it's the right spot.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, a deadlift, I don't think there is a good point. I think you got to hold that thing the whole entire time.
Yeah. And then, but also there is a difference between, I think there's a difference between breathing and bracing, because, it's like a 2-part system. A lot of people, they'll breathe, but they won't necessarily brace, or they won't flex their abs or try and fill their obliques up with air. They'll just breathe in a deep breath, but it kind of just diffuses.
Yeah.
soon as they start to lift. So like the point of all this over exaggerated breathing and sucking in air is to get tight and to fill your belly full of air and create a natural belt. And especially if you have a powerlifting belt already, and you wrap it around your stomach, like that definitely that should make it even easier, because it gives you something to push on and create even more pressure. Because pushing on that belt creates more pressure, which keeps you tighter and allows you to handle more weight generally. So the whole point is to push out and to brace, not just to take a deep breath of air.
Yeah, and that's another thing I don't think the general public understands, is the belt's not there to help your back. It's there to push against, and like you said, create that pressure. Because, you walk up into Walmart right now, and they'll have belts that have, a foot long back to them, when that's not even the point. If you get one of those belts, you really need to wear it backwards so you can push your stomach up against that belt.
Yeah, you want something thick to push against. They don't do no good to put on one of them slim, tan Walmart belts. Like, this thing just don't get it done that well.
No.
But I think when you do get the hang of breathing and you can hold that breath and hold that tightness and get into a good position, like, all your lifts will definitely shoot up. And I recommend, it kind of depends on kind of what you like, kind of how you are and what you feel like. But I know when I first started, I did some breathing exercises. Like, I would have like a kettlebell, and I would put it on my belly, and like breathe. Like, I would be laying down on my back, and then I would breathe in, expand my abs, and try and tighten my abdominal wall as tight as I could, and watch the kettlebell rise, and then kind of hold it, and then kind of just repeat that over and over until I kind of got the hang of it.
I think that's the main point we're trying to make, is once you get your air, that you need to keep it.
Yeah.
Because like you said before, getting a deep breath isn't the same as bracing, like you said.
Yeah.
Like, you're not diffusing, you're actually using the air to help you.
Yeah. If you are bracing properly, your face should be red before you even lift it. Like, your face should already be turning a little tint of red, a little pink action going on. It just shouldn't, like, you shouldn't have your normal skin color and like everything's fine. Like, it's not a super comfortable thing to do. Like, you're holding your breath and like trying to inflate your muscles.
Yeah. And yeah, like you said. That's what you said.
That's right. You gotta breathe and brace, people.
Yeah, I keep trying to come up with something to say, but we keep saying the same thing. But
this ain't rocket science. This powerlifting stuff, it ain't rocket science. People have been breathing for years. They've been breathing for years, and they've been having bellies full of air for years, and they've been doing it since they were babies. So the real thing is just you're pushing out, creating more pressure so that you can stay tighter and handle more weight, and it secures your spine, and then you're ready to handle some heavier weight and learn to move. And plus, doing this, I've found, like, it'll increase the strength of your core a lot.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure, kind of like swimming or anything else that you do that involves breathing, you increase your capacity of how much air you can get and how much you can hold over time, the more that you do it.
So you gotta kind of experiment with what kind of breathing technique you like. If you like the mouth, nose, or both, I'd recommend whatever lets you get the most air as possible.
So both.
Probably both, unless you like got some weird collapsed nasal cavity or something going on. I don't know. But yeah, breathe, lift more weight, stay tight, don't get hurt, wear a belt so you have something to push out on,
Yep.
and you're on your way to becoming a better powerlifter.
True story.
Now, there's something else very special that happened this weekend. Or I guess it was this weekend. It was Friday.
Yeah.
There was something very big that happened that has changed the gaming world.
Something that will make you lose your air. You're just gasping because you're so excited.
You ain't holding your breath for this one no more. It's all out in the open. But this Friday, Spider-Man PS4 came out.
Oh, yeah.
Man, what a great game.
It really is one of my favorites. Like, I think, which I know I'm still up in the hype, but I think I like it better than the Arkham games.
Now, I'll go ahead and admit, I am not a big Arkham fan because of the combat system. I think it's boring. You
don't think Spider-Man's exactly the same?
Well, okay, here's the difference. That I figured out why I like Spider-Man's combat so much better. So a lot of games have used the Arkham combat system. And it's like, you tap square and then you hit triangle and you counter. But see, it's different in Spider-Man. Because in Spider-Man you don't counter, you dodge.
True.
And so I got really bored in the Arkham games just repeatedly doing triangle, and whenever my head flashed, I would hit triangle and like counter and do whatever that animation was. And I would just do square, triangle, square, triangle. That was it. That's all I did. But Spider-Man's different because square is your attack button, and then you press circle, and then you dodge, and it's not a counter, so you didn't do any damage to anyone. You just change positions, and then you can, in like triangle, you can web people and like web zip to them, and like the combat system's actually pretty deep. Like I think it was a lot deeper than Arkham's combat system.
I can agree with that.
I
feel like even there's more gadgets with Spider-Man than there is with Batman, which sounds kind of weird.
Yeah, they did a great job on this. Like Insomniac really brought their A game and went all out with this game. Like this game is polished to the T. Like
it looks beautiful.
It's beautiful. They do a great job using the PS4 hardware.
Mm-hmm.
They have like games have this thing called ray tracing, and like it's going to get really better with these new NVIDIA graphics cards, but Spider-Man does a good job with it because you can kind of see your reflection in the cars during these car chases.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's pretty impressive how clear like your reflection is. And
so is that what ray tracing is?
Yeah, ray tracing, so it has to do a lot with reflections. And so, like, I know a lot of times right now, most games have it's like a post or a pre-processor function now. So, like, ray tracing doesn't happen in quote-unquote real time. It happens, like, it's pre-processed.
Gotcha.
But they came out with some new graphics cards, NVIDIA did, where ray tracing is happening in real time. So that's going to be really cool. That's going to make our video games look a lot better. But Spider-Man's like reflections look really well done on the hardware that the PS4 has.
And yeah, it's not even just on cards and stuff, but all the buildings have their windows.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of swing over water and stuff, get your reflection in the water. And all the models in the game look really realistic. Like there's a certain cameo in the game, which I won't spoil it, but I don't know if they did like a face scan of this person or what, but it looks like a photograph of the guy.
Oh, it really does.
Yeah, it was. That's probably one of my favorite parts about the game. And as far as Spider-Man lore and everything, you really don't have to know much. You just gotta know the basics. You know, Peter Parker, he's an orphan. He's getting raised by his Aunt May. They don't even go over the origin, because this is a veteran Spider-Man. You start, he's 8 years have already passed since he's started being Spider-Man. So you're jumping into prime Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, it's such a. I really like what they did, and they made their own kind of story. They made their own universe
Yeah, me
for
too.
this game. I think they did a really good job. I really like all the different suits that you get in this game. You get different Spider-Man suits. Um, the city feels alive. Like it feels like New York City.
Yeah, and
Um,
there's people on every street corner. Like nothing's empty.
yeah, and you can interact with them. Like I don't know if you've done this yet, but like some people you can go up to and like high five them.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And like I like the city weather. Like they have a clear sunny day. They have night. They got a rain. And
hmm
when it rains, it looks really good. So I'm very impressed with this game. Like I really like the story too. I ain't going to spoil anything, but as far as video games go, like Spider-Man probably has one of the most well executed and written out stories that I've played in a long time.
Which Andrew's
And
finished it, but I'm about halfway through, and I can agree with that.
like it's very well done. I don't know who wrote the story. Like I mean I know Insomniac wrote it, but like I wonder if some Marvel writers got
Yeah, I
involved.
think Dan Slott helped write it, and he just recently got off the Spider-Man book, like not too long ago.
Mhm. I mean
So
like
yeah,
because you can tell like this wasn't some you could tell this story was not written by like your average like game developing company. Like if they had a very experienced story writing team. So that's why and plus this game's got Marvel's seal of approval.
hmm
So like that's why I think they definitely had to have some Marvel input because this story was really well done.
and they even the Arkham games they brought in the Batman animated series people, the same voice actors, and pretty sure Paul Dini, I think that's. See, I always get them mixed up. I don't know if that's the writer or the artist guy. But anyways, I think he helped out with the game as far as the story and stuff. So they took a page out of Rocksteady's book and did the same thing, it seems like.
Yeah, and man, I'm telling you, I have never played like Spider. I've played quite a few Spider-Man games, and I've never played a Spider-Man game this good. Especially the web slinging. It's the best I've ever seen.
It's really fun because you can get into a certain flow and just kind of glide through the city. It
But
becomes a point where you don't even have to think about it. You just swing and check everything out.
that was beautiful.
And they've got all kinds of landmarks in the game, both from the comics and real life. New York.
Hmm
It's really neat.
They did such a great job. Of I think I really do think this is probably one of the most polished games I've ever played.
Well,
Like it's up there.
1 out of 10, what do you rank it?
Oh,
Now that you're done with it.
mm, oh man, I'm gonna give it. I have to give it probably like a 9.7,
Ooh,
maybe even. It's getting close to a 10 out of
that
10.
is awful close.
It's close. I'm trying to think why it's not quite a 10. I think. Oh man, I don't really have a great reason why it's not a 10. I think it's mainly. Yeah, I don't really know. Maybe I should just give it a 10 out of 10.
Sounds good to me.
It's a great game. Um,
Definitely recommend it.
yeah, I guess I'll give it a 10 out of 10. I don't give many things a 10 out of 10, but I guess I'll give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah. And all the side quests are really cool, and they're different. Like, I know a lot of the Batman side quests, a lot of them would kind of feel repetitive, like you were doing the same thing.
Hmm
Spider-Man side quests, like I said, each one's got its own unique spin that you're doing.
And so another reason I give it a 10 out of 10. This is why I didn't give it a 10 out of 10 before, because I'm done with the main story. I still got plenty of stuff to do, but I'm done with the main story and a couple of like the backpacks and whatnot. But they're coming out with a new game plus, which I'm excited for. Like, I'm excited to see what that is and how they incorporate that, because that gives a ton of replayability. So
explain what that is, because I still don't even know.
So new game plus is it's this concept that's been in a lot of games. It became really popular with Dark Souls, and a lot of games adopted it. And at least the abbreviation, like they would call it NG plus, and like basically you start the game over, but you keep everything that you have. So you keep all your gadgets, your suits, and you keep everything you have. And I don't know. So generally speaking, there's not a lot of changes, except generally the difficulty goes up. You start out with every single item and thing that you had. And sometimes, like Dark Souls does it pretty well. I know in some of their games, when you do New Game Plus, you can get different items from boss fights, or you might have missed an item and you can go get it in New Game Plus or something like that.
Okay.
Kind of gives you a chance to do that stuff. I'm not sure what Insomniac will do for Spider-Man's New Game Plus, because generally there's not a whole lot of change, but there's generally like a couple of tweaks, or at least a reward to doing it. So I don't really know what they'll do or how they'll execute it, but I'm pretty excited to see what their New Game Plus mode is.
I'm pretty sure you could do that in the Arkham games. Go back once you were finished with the game. And I think they even added a new difficulty.
No.
Like, for example, Spider-Man has 3 difficulties, and I think Batman had 3. Like, once you completed everything, like a 4th difficulty became available.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that was Arkham that I'm thinking of. Anyways, there's games like that.
And I'm really excited because they got 3 DLCs coming out, and I've already decided I'm gonna give them my money, because I just think they did such a good job.
Oh yeah.
With this game. I'm gonna pay for all 3. I don't know if they have a season pass or if I have to pay individually, but I'm gonna get all 3 DLCs.
I probably will too. Which I've expressed this before. If a game has a good story and I can get into it, I don't really care too much about the gameplay. Like, I really love those Telltale games where you just click a button. Because the stories are real good.
Dude, I'm the opposite. I could care less about the story. That's why when I say that it had a phenomenal story, it means something, because I don't play games for their stories generally. I play them for the gameplay. And like, Spider-Man's story was so good, I kept playing just to see what would happen next. And that almost never happens with me, because I'm a gameplay guy.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. If it looks pretty and the story's good, I'm in.
Spider-Man got the whole package, though.
Yep.
It's got everything.
10 out of 10. Go get it, people.
10 out of 10, buy it. If you ain't got a PS4, buy a PS4.
You can get the Spider-Man PS4.
Yeah, that thing looks cool. It's
red. It's got the logo on it. It's really neat.
I saw someone on Reddit posted, and they didn't get that one. They painted their they actually made their PS4 like the black symbiote PS4 emblem.
Cool.
It was really neat.
I'm too scared to take stuff like that apart. It's like, I paid $500 for this. I ain't gonna break it.
Yeah. But that's it, I think.
Yeah, man. Break it down.
All right. It's that time again. The end of an episode and the end of an era. It's Spider-Man PS4 on the PS4, not on the Xbox, not on PC. You can shell out the money. It ain't but a $300, $250 console, whatever it is. Spider-Man 60. Go get it yourself. Be web slinging, be web zipping. And don't worry, you ain't delivering no pizzas in this game like Spider-Man 2. You ain't delivering no pizzas. And guess what? You ain't gonna be able to brace and hold yourself playing this game. You gonna have to chill out, relax, sip on a Mountain Dew, Baja Blast, and web sling through the city. Because that's it. You ain't Peter Parker, so go play as Peter Parker. I'm out.
We out.
Please subscribe and thank you for listening. Be sure to follow @CheckMyTotal on Instagram for all the latest updates. It's time for the IBP Nationals. Mark your calendars for October 19th through the 21st. The 3-day event will be hosted in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. For more information about the competition, visit ironboypowerlifting.com.
Yeah, I'm down with talking about Spider-Man. Or we can talk about whatever we want.
Yeah.
Oh, let's talk about video games Spider-Man after we talk about some breathing and bracing. You can like Photoshop your head on Spider-Man's outfit and post that as the picture.
There you go.